Hi everyone, my name is Katrina Indaway and I am lucky enough to be the Director of Marketing and Communications with the Oakville Soccer Club. Thank you for tuning in tonight to our live interview with the one and only Chris Grierson, Oakville Soccer Club's Senior Technical Director. We did have some technical difficulties last week, so we sincerely apologize for that, but we are up and running tonight and really excited to sort of have a personal and casual conversation with Chris, a little bit about his history, the kind of stuff you don't necessarily get to know while you're passing by on the pitch. You see him there all the time, but just a chance to get to know him a little bit better during our Soccer at Home series. So we're taking advantage of the time spent to actually have some of these conversations and get to know some facets of the club that we don't traditionally get to feature online. So we thank all of you for taking your time to tune in, and we're going to get right into it. Hey, Chris, how's it going?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Good, thanks. It'll be fun to do this interview like we don't know each other.
Exactly.
I don't know anything about you.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll find out some stuff today too. So let's kick it off nice and easy. Tell us a little bit about how you got into coaching. How'd you get into soccer? How'd you get into coaching? And what's the story there?
Well, thanks, Katrina, and thanks for everybody for listening in today. I got into coaching. Well, I stayed on to school till I was 18. Did a little bit of coaching after school. So around the 21-year-old mark, I started to do a little bit of coaching with the Scottish Football Association. I was lucky enough to have a fantastic role model and coach mentor and a gentleman by the name of Greg Patterson. Greg is currently the coach education manager with the Scottish Football Association, and I keep in touch with him from time to time. But he gave me my first real role with coaching, and within that role, I would work with my local council. Here it would be essentially like the town of Oakville, but for me it was the Dumfries and Galloway Council, and I worked with little programs. So from kids as young as our little Oscars kind of age, we called them mini kickers, so that 3-4-year-old mark, and then right up to teenagers. Not necessarily coaching in team environments, but more in development environments. So that was fun. I got to work in local rural schools, which was great, and help prepare and educate teachers to then work with their pupils. So lots and lots of fun times.
Awesome. So obviously that was in Scotland, and now we're in Canada. So how'd you end up here?
Yeah, I have relatives that lived in Oakville. So I frequented Oakville as a child with my family a number of years growing up. One year, I think I was probably about 12. My mum and dad shipped my sister and I off on a month's vacation to Canada, and I spent the time with my relatives in Oakville. And my aunt actually taught at Appleby College for 25 years. So I attended an Appleby College soccer camp when I was about 12. So that was great. So I've always known Oakville. But when I left Scotland, I think it was 2005, I came to Oakville. It's a funny story. Jumped on, kind of did a little bit of research, knew that there was a rather large soccer club in Oakville, and jumped on a bicycle and cycled over to the Iroquois Shore Road area where the old club used to be. And I'm sure if anybody's listening to this that have been around the club for a good 15-20 years, they'll all know about Iroquois Ridge or Iroquois Shore Ridge offices. And I met with the technical director at the time. His name was Brett Mosen, and he's probably the person that I idolized and was a massive role model. He gave me the opportunity to volunteer with the Oakville Soccer Club, and I did. I volunteered with the club for 6 months. It was amazing. Got to work in various different programs, their open development program. And people need to remember this was all when we didn't have a facility, and we utilized the dome that was on the service road, which is no longer there. So yeah, it was, just wanted to. I loved Oakville, loved Canada, and 2005 came out here, gave it a crack, and been here ever since, and been with Oakville Club since 2005. So great
Just
times.
tear yourself away.
Yes,
can't get enough.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, well, you are definitely a fixture at OSC, and it's been sort of a hot minute since you've been hanging around. So since 2005, how has your role evolved, and what different positions have you seen yourself in at the club up until now in a senior technical director position?
Yeah, so like I said, when I came here, I was volunteering for 6 months, and then was lucky enough to get hired on as a house league coordinator. So I managed the house league programs, and before LTPD, we used to have a red and a white division, which was crazy. So there was a lot of planning going in between the house league program. I also, was a staff coach in our camps. Had the pleasure of actually leading camps for a couple of years. Worked in the open development program. We used to have what was called an academy program, so U8 to U12, very similar to our ADP. But in those days, the children that were identified to be in the academy program still actually participated within the house league program. So they would play house league. Typically, they were in the red division, which was deemed to be the higher tiered skilled level players, and they would work with the academy staff and people like Stephen Killeen, who's still with the club, and Eddie Verdusco, who we had the pleasure of watching do a session last night, and Heather McDougall, she's back at the club. She was an academy coach, and many others that have went on to either go to other clubs or start their own private academies. But they were all great influences in me, and helped me become what I am today. So I have had the pleasure of coaching and assisting teams, but as you take this role as a technical director, it's very difficult to actually coach at one team in particular. So I've tend to take a back seat when it comes to coaching a team. I will coach teams if need be when a coach is maybe on holiday or happens to be away on business or whatever. I will gladly jump in and run some sessions and coach some games. But it's I miss being on the field, but I also love being able to support the coaches as well, and all the fantastic things they do and continue to do.
Very cool. Yeah, definitely probably a different look than being in a straight coaching position and sort of working more fundamentally behind the scenes. I can imagine that you miss maybe the hands-on stuff, but luckily there's no shortage of probably opportunities and demand for you to get involved sometimes. Things change and it's pretty fluid at the club, and I know you've had to jump into lots of different situations, which keeps it fresh. Do you find that, what would you say is one of the more challenging aspects of your role as the senior technical director?
I think, for me, the size of the club is huge. So it's really, really important that the coaches, whether they're volunteer or contractual coaches, do the job that they do. That's what makes my job easier. The difficulty, I would say, is the changes. We've went from like I said earlier on, where our house league program was essentially split into a red and a white division, and I'm not that I fully supported that when it was on, but it was what the club had always done, and they saw their success. But when long-term player development came in, it was important that a club of our size made those changes and supported Canada soccer. So those are difficult, being pulled in all directions. I sit on task force. as you know, we have a great relationship with our board of directors. So we attend board meetings. It's my role is no longer what a technical director's role was years ago, where you were predominantly on the field. I spend most of my time behind the desk, working on a club-wide philosophy, working on things that we need to do for Canada Soccer. I also, have to attend meetings within the district. So there's loads of things that make the role challenging, but never once have I fell out of love with the club or the game. The club has been very supportive to me, and I've been lucky enough to learn from some great people, and have some good role models. Take good things from them and emulate them. And some of the things that maybe didn't work for them, could they work for me, or is it just something that'll never work based on the landscape of the club? So those are challenging, but it's just a great environment. It's a great club.
That's great, and I think that that to your point of being such a large club, I think in a lot of ways we talk about how our size can be challenging and can be an advantage at the same time in lots of different ways. So it's interesting how we see that parallel in the advantages and disadvantages sometimes. And I know that definitely comes up for you a lot in your role. But I think like you said, we're very lucky. We have a strong board of directors we work with. And I think especially during this time, we've seen how cohesive the soccer landscape can be and where we can learn from each other and work together. So that's been a cool experience for all of us, I think. On the flip side of a challenge, then, what is it that you love the most about your role with OSC?
Well, I know we were only going to do this talk for a few minutes, but there's just so much, from fellow colleagues, from within the office. We are a large office, so we are amongst each other day to day, and I really think during these difficult times, we've grown as as an even bigger family, and we lean on each other, we support each other, we know when it's a good time to step away and take a deep breath. The parents of that sacrifice the time and monetary requirements to register their children in the programs. That's not easy. As a father of two myself, I'm going to start having to pay those bills shortly. But the parents are great. Being able to walk around the facility and talk to people, be around the field and talk to parents and hear from them what they think we're doing well and what constructive criticism, what we could do better. And sometimes it's just a case that they've never really had a voice to talk to. So some of their concerns are necessarily concerns that you can address by speaking to them. So I think for a club of our size, we're very much available as a staff to talk to the membership. Watching the kids play is amazing. I've had the luxury and pleasure to be part of a couple of recent successes with the girls winning the Ontario Winter Games with futsal, and then with the boys team that won the Ontario Summer Games. So that was great. The club as a whole, Katrina, as you know, you're part of many fantastic programs. We are so inclusive. The programs that we are lucky enough to run, whether it's our Breaking Barriers program, which is unbelievable, the Breaking Barriers 2 program, which I'm a part of with fellow staff in the office that do a tremendous job. Our little Oscars, Open Development, ADP, RDP, it's OPDL, it's all what makes the job worthwhile. So there's not, you look at our House League programme, the coaches within the House League programme are unbelievable. The sacrifices they make. Some don't even coach their children. They give up their weeks to coach kids that just because they love it. So to answer your question, there's so much things that I love about the club. It's a true family. The town of Oakville are unbelievably supportive as well. We have a number of councillors that coach within the club that you see on a weekly basis, and hearing from people of that stature, and hearing what a great job the club does, whether it's the marketing department, the facility staff, the technical department, scheduling, equipment. It's unbelievable. So really love my job and love the club and love everybody I work with. So
that's great. Good to hear. And I think that a point that you raised, and as obviously a member of the staff team and the people you're speaking about, is there's a lot of facets that go into the club that do a lot of work behind the scenes and don't necessarily end up on the field or seeing everybody. Scheduling coordinator Victoria Jacobs, our equipment coordinator Diane Swarsick, Michelle Prado-Shears, that a lot of people do know but don't realize the amount of juggling and stuff that goes on in the back end. Greg Sinclair, that works in our marketing department and handles social media and stuff like that. And a ton of other staff that I've mentioned by name, but hopefully we'll circle through as we talk to different staff members about their roles at the club. But there's a lot of moving pieces that go into it, but technical sort of lives in the center of that universe because that's the funnel that our programs come out of. Would you say that your experience, or what about your experience as a parent of young players that are just getting into the sport, has maybe made you see things differently than your traditional technical role at the club? Do you see a difference there as you sort of shifted your shoes for the first time there?
Yeah, I find it quite difficult sometimes because when you I take my daughter to when she was part of the Active Start program, trying to blend in amongst the parents and just observe and admire everything the volunteer coaches do without them feeling nervous, because some of them are rather young, and the last thing I want is for them to think that I'm watching them. I just want to be a parent and enjoy it. So that's difficult, and I always make sure that the coaches know I'm there because my daughter's playing, and I'm not there. I'm not there spying on them. But as my daughter has got older, I've seen the dedication, more dedication with the volunteer coaches. The amount of work that a volunteer coach does, I'm very lucky at the moment. Obviously we're not playing indoor it anymore, but my daughter was very lucky to have a great volunteer coaching staff of about 3 who were just wonderful with the girls. Communication was great. The support towards the club was great as well. So I'm really being able to see that on the other side from a parent is great as well, because as you said, it's difficult being the technical lead. Going out there, people get nervous because they think that maybe myself or Mark Wharton or Gareth, whoever it may be, who's taken a walk to observe, that we've heard bad things or not. It's not the case. We're there to support them, observe, and promote them, because that's one of the things that we want to do at the club. Is we want to look at some of our House League coaches, especially on the female side, to help support them give them the tools and education that they need to get them to the next level. So, but without the volunteers, we would never be the club that we are. So, massive shout out goes to Leah Sherritt for the amazing stuff that she does with her, and then I always say my boss, Michelle. Michelle is the leader of the technical department. She keeps us all in line, as you know, Katrina. And
Keep the whole office in line.
we do as we're told. And like I said earlier on, without the support and family feeling that we all have, we're a real tight knit community. And I think, in years gone by, we kind of all the departments used to just do their own thing, and now we're seeing, even before the COVID-19, we started to see a real togetherness where we all helped one another for the betterment of the club. So that's great. And anybody that's listening to this that wants to find out a little bit more about coaching or wants to get involved with coaching, we're always available. Our details are on the website, so don't be afraid to reach out.
Definitely. All of those that information is available on the website, oakvillesoccer.ca, as well as through our social media channels. Feel free to touch base through direct messages, emails, all that kind of stuff. Thanks to everybody who is watching. We are seeing some comments on the Facebook page. So thanks to everybody who's joined us. John Bridge, one of our awesome House League coaches, gave the club a compliment about their good-looking staff. So thank you, John. There's some people poking fun at your accent, for sure. That would be Damien Wiki. Ryan Gamble wants to know what the best what the best goal you ever scored in an over 40 league was.
Well, first of all, you can tell Ryan Gamble it was never over 40s; it was over 30s. and I'll leave that to Ryan. He was lucky enough to see me score a few good goals, I suppose.
I believe it. So thanks to all of those comments and everybody who's tuning in and watching us. We don't want to keep Chris, you very much longer, or keep everybody else. So as we start to close things out, I'll ask you, in your opinion, what do you think sets OSC apart? What do you think's unique about us?
I probably answered that a little bit earlier on. I would definitely say the fact that we are very inclusive. I don't think there's not a program that we don't run, and if there is, it's probably just not been feasible to do. We are a great club. I can't speak about any other clubs because I've never had the pleasure of working anywhere else other than Oakville. But just the ability to have a fantastic facility, run programs within that facility, whether it's school programs, little children. Yourself, Katrina, you run first aid programs out of the club. We do, various coach education opportunities. So I just think we are selfishly very lucky to be part of a wonderful organisation.
I definitely don't disagree with you about that, and agree with the breadth of the programming that we do offer at the club. I think is one of our strengths, and for anybody interested in learning more about that, we have information about all our programs. Some really amazing programs too, Breaking Barriers to Little Oscars, all the way through the adult leagues. So check it out and take this opportunity to learn a little bit more. In closing, we're going to talk today's Tuesday. On Thursday at 2:00, I'm going to chat with Mark Wharton, who is our Director of Coach Development. Can you give us a little sort of preview of Mark and his role and sort of what he will be chatting about on Thursday?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Mark's another loyal member to the club. He's been with the club for probably over 20 years. He's rose the ranks as well. He was a volunteer coach. He was a head coach. He's now, as you said, the director of coach development. Mark has many portfolios. One of his biggest ones just now is the female mentorship program. So Mark is working closely with about 20 to 30 female coaches. Some are current coaches, some are players, and helping them learn the roles of leadership skills and becoming a coach at the club or an assistant coach. So he's doing a wonderful job there. His main role is obviously developing coaches, supporting coaches, whether that be coaches from who are trying to obtain their C license to now the new children's or youth license. So he works closely with them. So if you're a coach at the Oakville Soccer Club, he's definitely the man to know, because he will support you and help you as much as he can.
That's awesome. We're looking forward to chatting with Mark.
And if I can just say, a massive thank you to Gareth Davies. Everybody should know Gareth. He's doing an amazing job with his soccer sessions. So thank you to everybody that tuned in and watched Gareth. He's just an amazing coach, an amazing guy. So huge kudos to Gareth for everything he's doing at the moment.
For sure. And for those of you who have turned into some of our Soccer at Home sessions, thank you. And I hope that you'll join us going forward. We have some great sessions coming up still this week with a bunch of different coaches, including Gareth, who is awesome and super engaging and fun to tune into. Coach Derek Salvador will be with us tomorrow night doing some fitness and physical literacy, which is great. The age groups are 8 to 10 and then 10 to 13, but honestly, a good workout for anyone. I don't know if I would have survived the workout last week, so I think all of us can benefit from those. On Saturday, we're going to have some active start session. We're going to look at some yoga and some ball mastery sessions, so be sure to tune in for that as well. Chris, I just wanted to let you know that Julian Kennedy is poking fun at your beard, asking if you're applying for the Santa job this year with OSC as well. The quarantine beard. Everybody's got a quarantine hairstyle going on right now, I think. Chris, do you have anything else you want to add before we take off for the night?
No, I just want to thank you for taking the time and for everything that you do and continue to do. It's not easy having to lead these sessions or work behind the scenes. So for you and Greg, thank you very much. And then, last but not least, thank you to everybody during these difficult times. Whether it's the frontline workers or the essential workers. It's a club of our size. I'm sure there are many people that fall into those brackets. So thank you to everybody, and stay safe, stay healthy.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Chris, to you for taking the time tonight and continuing to support the club in every way that you have, and will continue to do that. So hoping you'll continue to join us through our series this week as we talk to Mark, but next week we are going to talk to Gareth, we're going to talk to Leah, we're going to talk to Michelle going forward, some of our amazing coaches, and have some great treats in store for everybody. I want to thank you for your continued support of the club, everybody who's tuning in. Again, to echo Chris's sentiment, Oakville Soccer Club wants to thank everybody who's working in emergency services and essential services right now, and which is a huge shout out to a huge amount of our players base who work at grocery stores, Shoppers Drug Mart, and all of the places that are helping to sustain us right now and are putting themselves out there every day to make sure that people are taken care of. We're really proud to be a part of a community like this, and we're really proud of all of our members who are holding it together and helping people through this time and just sort of surviving this crazy quarantine time too. So We're here to support you in any way that we can, and we look forward to catching up with you later. Drop a like on the video, follow along, leave any comments you have underneath the video, and we will talk to you again soon. Have a great night, everybody. Take good care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.